The color that I use, Prism Blue and Windsor Red, Windsor Yellow, and Burnt Sienna. The paper I'm using today, it is a Strathmore watercolor paper pad. It is a series 400. It's 140 pounds. The size of this paper is 9 by 12 inches. Before I'm starting paintings, I'm going to tape the edge so that it's not going to buckle after the painting's finished. Starting from this side, I'm going to leave like a quarter inches onto the paper, and I'm going to wrap around to the back of this paper pad. So now I'm ready to paint. I'm going to start with this 1-inch flat brush. I already done the charcoal drawing study, so I'm going to looking at my charcoal drawing as my reference for compositions. Starting from the top, that would be a good color. I'm going to start from there, looking for the space, and here we go. I'm going to leave the white from the top over here, and then I'm moving along to the side here. I decided to make it a little bit darker. I take the Prism Blue, and may not be too dark. That may be a little bit too dark. Okay, I'm gonna just tap it on the top over there, and quickly I'm working on, yes, you know, I'm looking at the big shapes right now. And now I'm going to add a little bit more water. Now I'm going to working into this shape, kind of just looking for shapes. Now I'm going to kind of setting a mental alarm clock now. I know when I'm going to start using the scratch. I think this is a little kind of green colors. I'm going to put in here. I leave enough white. Okay. Now I'm going to move this blue colors around here, looking for the reference and looking at my study. And here we go. Now I'm get a little bit red colors in here, a little bit red. That is used only the side of my brush. I'm gonna moving down. Okay. Making sure it's dark enough. When I do the scratch, it's just not dark enough. The white line won't show. Okay. Squint your eye so you can see a little bit more the true composition. Don't get distracted by those details. Focus. Okay, I'm getting a little blue colors, so looking for the value of the color, at the same time looking for the color temperature. And that's going pretty well. And I'm going to get a little bit dark colors here. I'm going to get a little bit dark. Get a little red. I know my brushes have some colors that's a little bit uneven. So I'm going to keep moving really quickly into the water, and then I'm going to start laying out the colors for the rocks. Okay, over here I have a little bit more blue colors, but more important have a white shape. I'm going to get a little bit darker, a little darker colors. Now I'm going to take the burnt sienna a little bit blue. Okay, this is dark. Okay, good. Okay, now I'm gonna put this down. I'm gonna start to see if it's too late for the scratch. Yeah, I can scratch a little bit. A little waterline, good. And I'm not sure this is still too early. Let me see. Usually it's about 3 to 4 minutes. This is the perfect time for scratch technique. I do have a video on that for the experiments. So if you want to look at it, just search in my library. Okay, I'm gonna put this down. Now it's just good. On the water, I'm gonna start working onto the rocks. Now what I'm gonna do, before I do that, I'm gonna start taking this excess color away. That's good. Now I'm gonna come back to working on the rocks. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use this number 12 round brush. I'm gonna take the burnt sienna and getting some red and prism blue. That's good. The color is pretty thick, but this is not opaque. I'm gonna start from where? This is the biggest piece. I'm looking at my reference. I'm gonna see where I'm gonna put this piece of rock. Okay. That will be the location. That's good. Put this down over here first. Now I'm gonna move on to this piece of rock. Make sure you leave enough white space. Like that. Okay, move around. There is some white water over here, so I'm gonna leave it there. Moving on. Use a little dry brush. It's okay. We don't need to cover everything. We're gonna do it in steps. Now I'm gonna moving on other rocks. Over here. Okay. Moving on, there's a small piece of rock. You may not want to keep thinking about rock, because what I'm thinking actually shape. I'm looking for another shape. What's the shape location? What's the space? What's the size between all those shapes together? Okay, moving on. Get a little bit more prism blue. Even get a little bit darker. That's good for the rock. And get a little bit burnt sienna. a little more. You know, when you paint, you also be aware of there are some colors already in your brush. You're not washing the brush between colors. Sometimes you just add the colors, add the new color to the existing color that you already have on your brush. Do a little dry brush going through here. That's good. I'm gonna leave away from that and come here. I'm getting a little bit dark colors also on the shadow side of this rock. Like this. You can see some of the triangles. I'm going to get away from that, and I will come back to do the other piece of rock on the right top corner. Let's see. Okay, right here. When you're painting a landscape, especially painting the ocean, the rocks, and you're not much just painting the objects, you're painting the feeling of the moment. They're looking at the video or looking at the real scene, and so thinking about, oh, how I feel about this magnificent moment, that seeing the rock splashing by the water. And okay, let's see, I already putting most of the shape on the paper now. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to start adjusting some of the middle tone, or maybe there's some of the transitions. Let me see. Because it's still drying, so I'm going to just take away a little bit color over here, make it a little softer of this color. That's good. And a little bit softer over here. Straw paper, a little bit easier to take color away from the paper compared to Arches watercolor paper. Okay, that's good. A little lighter on this side. I just lift it and take it away. So you don't need to overdo it. Okay, over here and get a look at this little orange colors on this side. So I'm gonna mix a little new orange colors. I can just put it on the top over here because this is the sunlight on the top. Just prepare that. Okay, a little bit here too. Okay, leave enough white. Now I'm gonna look at, let's see, over here, give a little light color there, a little bit. That's good enough. From the drawing and paintings I saw from my patrons, some has the shapes in very much the similar size. You might want to give a little rhythm, like say smaller, bigger, and smaller and bigger, and so on. And give it also the space in between those shapes. And some a little closer, some a little bit away. Thinking about how to create a better rhythm. Okay, let's take a look. And this is a little far away, so I'm gonna let it has a little less details. Okay, just a little bit here, make it a little light. And this is good. I think what I'm gonna do now, before I go back to the rock, add a little bit more details. I'm going to start coming into the water to give it a little bit more, like say this is the value should be a little darker. So I'm gonna get the prism blue, just the prism blue over here. What I'm gonna do is add a little Winsor red, a little bit. There's a lot of space in here. And it looks like I need to make this space work a little bit better. Okay, let's see. Okay. But I want to have this white space a little bit bigger. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use this synthetic brush. What I'm going to do, I'm going to start moving the shape, expand the shape a little bit bigger. Now this is called adjusting stage. I'm going to move the water, the shape, the white shape a little bit wider and expand it. Okay, now the shape coming over here, and also expand this shape to this side. Let me see. I'm going to expand some light color on this side. This is the fun step. And you get exciting when you're moving the shape around and seeing your feeling going through the motion that you're working on. I'm going to make this shape a little connected. Yeah. This a little bit lighter. I'm going to take this a little gap, a little clear. And when you're doing this, you kind of like also mimic of the water's connection between the shape, the light shape, the dark shape. I'm going to also open up this gap a little bit. I'm going to create a little light shapes behind this rock. Through this whole process, I'm squinting my eyes. So I focus on the big connection, the movement, the connection between those shapes. Okay. Also have this shape moving in here. There's some light shape over here too. Okay. Let's see. And over here, I'm gonna soften this a little edge. And here, a little soften in here. So it looks like the thin layer of water actually not really very cover the rock, but you can see through some of the rock colors underneath. Okay. I'm gonna have a little soft. One of the good things I like, keeping the colors pretty well, I'm gonna use this 1-inch watercolor brush, and I'm going to actually move the color a little bit into here. I'm going to take a little red color. See a little red color in here. Okay. Connect a feeling to this whole painting process. I think the color over here looking pretty well now. In fact, except I need a little reflected light and seeing the little reflected. So using lifting up lifting up technique. Like that. Like that. A little light reflected. This is good. Now I'm gonna come into this side and create a little bit more texture. Okay. And I've got a little yellow colors. And moving in this color, this is good. Looking pretty close to the color I want. And let's see. Okay. Just make this area red, wet. And I see there's this pretty nice dark blue color over here. Just take the prism blue and putting that blue color over here. And the edge is a little uneven. Seeing the wave, the water pushing through these directions. I'm gonna make that even darker. Okay, that's nice. And have these similar colors on this side because the shadow. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Give a little contrast, the details. Okay, over there, I'm gonna put a little detail over here too. At the same time, I'm gonna keep it a little detail on the rock. Now, I'm gonna take mix the red and with the prism blue. Now I'm gonna just lay it in this small shape. Okay. Just the side of the big brush. Okay. Now it's the time I'm going to put a little burnt sienna colors on top of this. Maybe a little too warm, just get a little blue colors. Okay. That's the rock. Now over here, I'm going to give a little more texture. What I'm going to do, I'm going to just splash a little water in here. In fact, I'm going to splash a little more. So get that kind of texture over there and a little bit on the rock too. Okay, I think this is the color temperature, the color value compositions looks pretty nice now. And let me see if anything I need to change it. Oh, I do see something. I want to move this shape a little bit higher and move this white a little bit higher. The froth of the wave. I'm gonna give it a little darker. Give it a little darker colors. Get the burnt sienna. Mix just with this. This is the good colors. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna move it. Like this. Okay, a little bit darker shade. A little detail here. And also the dark colors behind this. Okay. I try to make it a little bit more natural. I would say organic. That's alright. I'm gonna make it soften over here. That's good. And then it looks like this shape a little bit too connected. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna place the rock over here to break the shape a little bit. So I break this whole dark shape. So I'm gonna put this burnt sienna colors right there. I would make a little bit more definitions later. Now I'm squinting my eyes, so I'm gonna add this light prism blue. I'm gonna go through here. I'm gonna suggesting the color as I'm moving, the water moving in here. Suggest the movement. That's not the right colors. I'm gonna have the burnt sienna over there. Good. Like that. Good. Make it a little bit clear over here. Now you can seeing the movement of the water. I need a little bit more blue colors here. A little bit more suggestions. Okay. And use these colors to have a little gap. Okay, this is good. So I'm gonna leave that away. I'm gonna come back here to see. I'm gonna need to have a little bit blue colors over here going through. That actually looks good. This little dry brush. Give a little suggestions on that. Okay, this is good. And do I need to do something over here? And maybe I'm gonna open up a little bit here, the water. This is kind of my invention. This is like actually coming from a different part of the video, that the water splash on the rock and just soften. Yeah. Have a little feeling of translucent. Okay. Okay, that's good suggestions. A little soften over here too. That's it. I'm gonna have a little details on this side. Soften over here. I don't want that the two shapes compete to each other. Okay, it's good. And now I'm going to add a little darker shade onto the foreground rocks. Before I do that, I'm going to use this sponge. I'm going to create a little rough texture. What I'm going to do, I'm going to take this burnt sienna and the prism blue, really dark. Get some red colors, really red. Okay, this color pretty dark. Now what I'm gonna do, this is pretty dry, so I'm gonna see. I'm just gonna lay down on the rock area and the foreground, making this a little bit different from the rock that in the background, in the midground and the background. Now I have a little texture. I think this looks good. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use this round brush, start putting a little deeper contrast. I'm gonna take the same colors. Okay, now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just draw some of the line to suggest the shadow. Okay. Some dry brush is fine. Like that. Suggest there is a piece of rock over here. That's good. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna lift up some of the colors. That's right. And put a little light in this rock. Like this. Let this light coming through to the back over here. And I can see a little warmer colors, so I'm gonna take a little red colors. Here you go. Putting a little warmer color in here. That's good. A little more red. That's alright. And put a little more red into after even in this water area. Okay, now I'll give a little better shape onto this piece of rock. Okay. And then give it a little details under this rock. Like that. And let's see. I'm gonna fine tune a little bit of the edge of the rock. That's good. Let's see. And give a little dark color here too. No need to have the line to be persistent. It just vary it. Okay, somewhere is thinner, somewhere is darker, somewhere is just thicker. Also have a little light shape at the edge of the water. It just use lifting off, just take the color out. Here you go. Now it look pretty natural. Let's see. Like that. I think this looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. Now, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make a little bit noises, and the painting is finished. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just use my toothbrush I'm gonna taking some like a burnt umber and mix with these colors. This is already have prism blue and red in it. This is good. What I'm gonna do that to the foreground rock. And a little bit in the, give a little more. Let's see. I think the texture, it actually helped. So, but I do want to take that away from the background. That's a little bit too much. Now I think the painting is finished.